direction. As you can see, many of the stakeholders have now been more enlightened on the activities of some of our agencies. There are a lot of the stakeholders in there that actually didn't know what we as a Nigerian Meteorological Agency do, but they now know. We collect, collate, disseminate information about meteorological parameters that help in the development of our country. Be it rainfall, temperature, humidity, whatever meteorological parameter we collect at NIMEC, we collect, we archive them, we quality check them, and then we use them to produce, to develop products that help the development of the country in all sectors of the economy. We're not doing anything differently. We established stations across the nation, what we call meteorological stations, and so far we have over 276 of them. The World Meteorological Organization, by their desire, wish that Nigeria will have 1,000 stations. As you can see, we are just over 1/5 of what is expected, but the reason we have is what we are doing to develop our products, particularly the main product which is called the seasonal climate prediction. And that is the main product that now tells the country when the rains are going to come in to the country, how long they will last, what amount we expect, and whether there will be issues in during the rainy season, whether there will be dry spells, dry spells. This question would have gone to NISA, but I think just from the little experience I have in managing water resources, flooding is actually as a result of what we call climate change and also population growth. As you can see, I believe you know, your village is no more 10,000 people, maybe it's 30,000 now. And each person must feed, so more farming activities. Each person must sleep, so more houses must be built, so more land is taken. The more land is taken, the more vulnerable we make the area to flooding. Because definitely you'll be taking one portion of the previous water cost. Once you build your house, the water comes, it has nowhere to go, it has to find somewhere to go, and then it goes to flood some people are there.
Yeah, the event, like I said, is apt because water is essential. With water, you assume you have water everywhere, but I want to tell you that water is not available everywhere. When you talk about water, when you talk about is it portable, you know, what can you can see water, but you might not be able to drink. You might not even be able to have your bath or to do some laundry with it. So you discover that you are yet in the mix of water, but you are lacking water. And for you to be able to know what is happening and be able to carry out the design of water to be available to the houses, you need data. So data is important. And for you to be able to get data and get it faster, you need the application of technology. So, and as I said, the theme for this conference is apt, that it has to do with, you know, data acquisition, use of technology for effective data gathering for water, resource management. So it's important. There's no way you can do anything now without data. If you want to improve on anything, you need to know what is in existence. What level of data do you have? And then you need to know how you're going to improve on that data, or how you're going to use the data to apply it in your design. So that is why this conference, the theme particularly for this conference, is very adequate. And I believe that Nigeria, where we are today, we need the data. I want to tell you that if you look around, you can't tell me these are the number of houses, even in Abuja, that have water. And if they have, is their water metered? And if it's not metered, how do you judge? You know, what quantity of water are they using in their various houses? So if you don't have the data, you cannot do good analysis. And if you cannot do good analysis, you cannot do anything about the development of that program. So that issue. So that's why I think, and I know that it's a very apt topic, apt team, and you listen to the speaker, he did a justification to that.
It's very, very important because we say water is life. That's number one. And as we say water is life, we also say data is planning. Data is key to planning. And so when you combine these two, you are talking about achieving proper water resources management for the country. That's why the day's function is very, very important. I think in recent years, government has been making a lot of efforts to put technology to use in the gathering of data. The issues we used to have before was basically because we did not have technology. Like you can see, INEC itself has brought in rivers, and all these things are to put things right so that people don't forge data. If you don't have proper data, you cannot plan properly. Even the National Population Commission is employing technology now to get the right number of persons per household, per community, and all those things. So data is the baseline for proper planning. If you don't get your data right, you cannot plan properly. Water supply, I want to tell you, this is my sector. Water supply cannot be properly designed without adequate data. You must have the population of the community so you can give the water that will sustain the community.
It's a remarkable event. It's one of the events we all long for, and we also desire will be continuous. We want every other arm of a profession. This is an engineering profession. This is a gathering of engineers, water engineers, and stakeholders in the water sector. So it's an event we'll recommend and we'll propose for other professional bodies, because in this kind of event, you see professionals rubbing minds, interacting, discussing, coming up with issues and ideas, you know, on how to profile solutions to problems and challenges facing the various professions. Area of flooding, areas when we get these informations from these agencies that deal with flooding, it helps us in our planning, it helps us in our design, it helps us in implementing our project, because if we have such data, we now know in a certain area, this area is flood prone, and we now begin to ascertain the type of crop that will grow in such areas. We now begin to ascertain the time, the cropping season, because some crops can come up in the dry season, at the peak of the rainy season, at the moderate time of the rainy season. So with information we get from NISA, we plan and design our program. Also drainage. When we get this information, we're able to drain agricultural lands. So these lands are now being turned to, you know, when you have flood in an area, you can't crop in such areas. But when we get this information, we're able to design and construct irrigation drainage facilities in our agricultural lands, and those lands now will now become useful for agricultural purposes.
Data is very, very important in the sense that without data you won't be informed. And if you are not informed, you won't be able to align properly, you won't be able to know what to do. So what we are talking about in integrated water resources management is to be able to collate all these data and information. So it's your data that you process to become information, and this information that we try to take down to policymakers, take down to stakeholders, for us to manage water. Water full everywhere, but we don't get water to drink, and that is what we are advocating for. Let's have good water management. Let's be able to pass this through to our children. Let's be able to conserve water. Where there is no blue, there is no green, in the sense that if we don't get water, there is no nature. So please, brothers and sisters, I encourage you, let's encourage one another to conserve water. Let's manage water. Integrated water resources is to put all those things in perspective that has to do with water, agriculture, policy. Water is life in general. So this data we are talking about is to use apt technologies that are coming out, you understand, technologies that will help us utilize the water that we have, conserve it and manage it for the purpose of the community, for the purpose of the immediate community and Nigeria at large. And that's what we are talking about. Before any construction or infrastructure takes place, the the government goes, they go to the blackboard, to the drawing board to get information. So this gathering of information to say, okay, we are using Abuja for example, how many local governments or area councils do we have in Abuja? They'll go there and you send people, students, staff to go check the number of the population, the type of infrastructure that fits these people. You may say, okay, area council Buhari need water. It may necessarily not water that it may not be water that they want immediately. It may be good though. So you try to find out what the immediate community needs, then you'll be able to implement. Okay? So when you go about getting this information, you are already gathering data. By the time you come and put it on the table and start sorting, okay, how do we do this? How many population are here? What kind of infrastructure do we put in place? Now it is turning to information. That information you now gather will now help you to strategize. Okay, it will help you to strategize and know what kind of policy that you will use to back up the infrastructure you want to do. So that is what application of data and technologies helps. So and bringing the technology part of it is those things we used to do during our forefathers in fetching water. Now you don't need, there is borehole. I'm just on the like a primary level, understand? But there are ways we can harvest water. In Dubai today, if there is no rainfall, they know how to get rainfall. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's there. It's science. So that's what we are talking about. The resources we have. How are we using it? NIMET keep telling us every day the weather forecast and everything. NISA will tell us predict the flooding and all those things. What are we doing with those information? Tomorrow now, there may be another news. There is flood. It's also place there is flood. Is it when the flood comes that we'll now start planning how to mitigate it, start looking for where to put those that are displaced? That's why we say the early, if you listen to my speech, I talked about the early warning signs. You understand? So those information we get from the data from NIMET, the weather forecast, we are now turning into information, disseminating it to the people like you, like others, you understand? Telling them this is what is happening, this is the early warning, people should park, people should do this, don't throw things, along the water path, things like that. Don't block the drains, because if you block the drains, water will always find its way. So that's why it's keep moving houses and everything, and you cannot stop water. It must move. So what we are saying is on the channel of water path, don't block it.